As schools prepare to reopen, the Early Childhood Commission urges parents to start transitioning their children into a school routine. Oh my gosh. So many parents have to start transitioning to Community Relations Officer for Region 7, Shaunette Grant, is here, and Senior Inspector Region 7, Andrea Edwards-Brown, and they're going to discuss the benefits of preparing that way. Morning, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. Yes.
And just, we're talking about people who are at school already, or these are the new students going to early childhood and stuff. Who are we talking about here?
We're talking about all our babies, those who are just going into early childhood institutions and those who are already in early childhood institutions, because we have to think about the fact that those who are already there, they are going to go back because they've been home for 2 months almost, and we've allowed them to do whatever it is that they enjoy and they like to do. So talking about all our babies.
All right, Shaunette, tell me some practical tips for parents.
All right, practical tips. So, of course, you know, we all went on summer break, physically and mentally. So our children need to get back into the routine, as well as the parents too. So in order to do that, we have to start now if we haven't started as yet. So wake up time, going to bed time, being able to know where the bag is, where the book is, where the uniform is, where the shoe is, all of those things need to be taught again. So our children remember and get it into practice. And practice is good. That is what routine is about.
So even though they're not going to school.
Even though they're not going to school, look here, lazy time has started since July, the first week of July. So we need to get back to basics. So everybody in the household, because what we realize is that you get anxiety attack on the Monday morning. I can't find this, I can't find that, I can't. And the behavior starts, tantrum is there, anger, the plan falls out of whack, and the children get confused. Even the parents as well. So getting back into the routine, restarting those activities, wake up time, bedtime, and even for the screen time, oh my, that was a part of the whole thing.
School? Week, 2 weeks? Well,
a week.
a week?
Just a week,
Yeah.
yes.
This is also for educators also though, Andrea. This is not just for the kids. Educators, how do they prepare for the kids?
Right, so for our educators, we are looking at our learning environment, and that is our classroom, our nurseries, our daycare, the space that you will take those children in. And so we've been out for the summer, so we first need to declutter. We need to clean, ensure that the environment is sanitary. After decluttering, we want to set up now our learning environment, and our babies need to interact with the environment for them to, you know, develop the different skills that we need to develop in them. For example, their fine motor, gross motor, their cognitive skills, socio-emotional. So in working on those skills, our environment needs to have, based on the Early Child Commission standards, our environment needs to have at least 5 learning areas. And those are our cognitive and manipulative area, or language and reading area, or dramatic play, or science and nature area, and our art and sensory. And so in these areas, we have specific materials. So for example, in our language and reading area, we have our alphabet charts, or books, or magnetic letters, you know, those type of materials for language and reading. For manipulative and cognitive, they are asked to include like puzzles, you know, shapes of different size, blocks, stocking materials for the children to explore and enjoy. For the dramatic play, we need our dolls, we need our cooking sets, or forks, or spoons, or dress-up clothes for the different careers. Maybe we need to have a daily outfit or a never outfit, you know, those things in the dramatic play area. And for art and sensory, we're looking at our easels, or crayons, or paints, or Play-Doh, stuff like those. We also want to include our musical instruments for the children, you know, to dance and explore. And never forget those cultural items, because we're in the Jamaican culture and want our children to be continuously exposed to our culture, so we want to insert some cultural items as well. And in the learning environment, we want to have adequate materials for children to use. They should have, for example, at least 2 developmentally appropriate books for the children. When we buy the toys for our babies, if we have 3-year-olds, we want to have to ensure that the tags says that those are for the children who are 3 years old. We want to also look at how they maneuver in the environment. Is it set up for them to manipulate the materials? Are the furnitures low enough so they can go in the drawers and the cupboards and use what they need to use? Do we have child-sized furnitures and so on for the children to use? Are they able to move around and interact with each other in a safe way?
So an enabling environment for learning.
Yes, an enabling environment for learning.
Shaunette, I want to ask you, because this is since the beginning of time, especially the first time parents, kids going to school, how do you prepare them so when you reach the school gate, the bawling don't start?
That is something that some parents, they can't deal with it, and they end up crying themselves.
They don't want to leave the child, but how do you prepare the child for this moment?
The fact that institutions have orientation sessions, and some of them would have also had summer school, use the opportunity to be there on those occasions, so that at that moment you can gradually ease them into that environment that they will be going into for September. So using up the orientation sessions, you bring them, you introduce them to the teachers and the rest of the staff, the compound, the different facilities on the compound, so that they understand what I'm getting into. It's not only us need to be eased, in terms of our mind and what the space would look like, but as Andrea spoke about the setting, let them go so that they can see and understand, oh, this place looks nice with all these learning areas and the fancy toys and stuff like that. So they get comfortable so that they're not in shock when Monday morning comes.
Yeah.
Andrea, in your answer just now, you said standards from your group. All these schools adhere to these standards? They have all these areas that you were talking about and stuff like that?
Not all schools adhere to the standards, and so the Early Child Commission continues to regulate and monitor, and we continue to provide support for the schools. And so what we have in the summer months also is a Learning Environment Month, which is normally the month of August.
Okay.
And so we have our development officers who go in and support the schools in establishing the different learning areas, as well as our inspectors.
What if they don't have these areas?
If they don't have these areas, then based on their inspection, when the inspection is done, they are given timelines to implement the things that they don't have.
Okay.
I'm not sure if either of you would have this kind of data, but obviously a lot of the early childhood institutions are churches and other places that may have been affected by Hurricane Beryl. Are there schools that are just not going to be ready for September? Or is everybody ready for September? Sean is looking at Andrea.
All right, so there are most of our schools, and we are from Region 7, but generally speaking, we know that most of our schools are going to be ready for September. Region 7 is in the parish of Clarendon.
Okay.
Yes, and it's just the parish of Clarendon to be exact.
Okay.
All right, so most of our schools will be ready. We had a few schools who would have lost the roof and some amount of infrastructure, and so most of those have been under repair. And so based on our knowledge at this time, most schools should be ready.
Okay.
Okay. School starts?
School starts on September 2nd. Is that so? Yes.
Which is week after Monday.
That's correct.
Yes.
Not a whole lot of time.
It's not a lot of time, but we are going in the field to ensure that our early childhood institutions are as ready as best as possible.
Fantastic. If someone wants to start something like that, what do they do? Like if I decide that I want to start a little early childhood thing in my community, what I do? How I get to that?
If you want to start an early childhood institution, your best option is to reach out to the Early Childhood Commission, and we will provide advice for you. There are a number of things you have to do in preparation, to opening that early childhood institution, and it requires, compliance with different agencies and so on. And so we will be equipped to provide you with the data you need to start.
Okay, man.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Thank
Thank you for having us.
Bless you.
Right.
Community Relations Officer for Region 7, Shaunette Grant, and Senior Inspector Region 7, Andrea Edwards Brown.